Coming and hanging out with us on Wednesday. We are happy holidays, everybody. I know there's Christmas and Hanukkah and all the holidays that people are celebrating around the world. Whatever holiday you celebrate, happy that. We got a cool gift for you guys today. We are going to be hanging with Ross Holmes and Daniela Padrón. And I'm super, super excited about that because these are both friends of mine who both have awesome projects out this year, and they don't know each other. So they're going to get a chance to meet each other, and we're going to talk about the projects that they've got out. How are you guys doing?
How's it going, Matt? Nice to meet you, Daniela.
Are you there, Daniela? Do we have audio on you? I thought we had you.
It's live. This is real.
Yeah, live television. Yeah. Can you hear us? Yes? No? That's very sad.
Now I hear you. Can you hear
there
me?
We go. I didn't touch anything, I promise.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with Ross. I got a chance to listen. He's got some new stuff out this year, and I really enjoyed the It's Not a Christmas album that he put out. And tell me about, for folks who don't know, the album is called It's Not a Christmas Album. And it's you, and who else is on that?
My friend Bobby Hawk. Bobby is, we've known each other since we were kids. We met in 1995 at Fiddle Camp here in Tennessee. I live in Nashville, and we became friends and stayed in touch over the years. And Bobby lives in New York. He's from the Chicago area originally, but he lives in New York, and he's had a highly successful career. He's the fiddle player you've heard on the last few Taylor Swift records, and he's been on tons of insanely cool New York-based projects and artists that he's worked with. And we were just basically like, hey, let's get together and have a hang, come to Nashville and let's cook food and catch up and jam some tunes. And so we wound up going over to our buddy Ben Sanders' studio and had him just set up a couple of mics and turn them on, and we just laughed and did adult things for a few hours and just made stuff up, like got on Chat GPT and had Chat GPT write these stupid like Christmas poems. I mean, this was April 13th or 14th of this year. No relationship to Christmas, but we were goofing around and wound up playing a Christmas song in a jam session for fun in one of our little moments of craziness. And when we were listening back with adult beverages, we were like, this all sounds really cool, because what we had been doing, our producer Ben Sanders, while we were improvising all these tracks, this goofing around, he was turning on the speakers in the studio and adding all of these insane effects, which we were then playing against as we were improvising on acoustic instruments. So it was a really trippy kind of experience, and also incredibly freeing, because for something like this, there is no punching in, no editing, no fixing. It's just that happened live. It was improvised, and let's be brave and put it out for people to hear, mistakes and all.
Yeah.
So
I didn't hear any mistakes, but
but what are mistakes when you're improvising? There's no such thing. You're just going for something, and the flavor might not have been right.
I love the fact that you're using effects on mic'd violins. And we were talking before that it kind of blurs the line a little bit between what is an electric violin and what's an acoustic violin. Like once you've gone into a microphone, we've converted that signal to electricity and we can manipulate that signal. And, if whether it's a mic'd acoustic or something with a pickup that's plugged in, if we're manipulating that signal to, in my mind, something other than compression and reverb, if we're manipulating that signal for real, well, that's an electric thing, and that
It's
becomes
totally
part of
electric.
your art.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for those of us that spend a lot of time on stage somewhere using pedal boards or in the recording studio, utilizing all of the great and creative plugins that are out there, it's nothing that's unfamiliar. In this particular setting, when we were playing acoustic instruments into microphones, sitting knee to knee, but hearing effects coming over the speakers, the way it translated, at least in my mind and through my fingers, was way different than had I been plugged in directly to my pedal board or listening back through cans on a 2 mix in a studio with effects that have been put on. It's like the spatial relationship between sitting there, hearing the acoustic instrument under my chin, but also these studio speakers like washing these crazy sounds at us. It's very interesting, very much a thing that we're continuing to explore. We're already working on the next album, which will be a solstice album, because I've never seen a solstice fiddle album before. So why the hell not?
So were you choosing the effects, or the engineer was just surprising you with stuff?
Oh, he was surprising us with stuff. It was totally just a gamble. And the thing that was interesting was that none of the sounds were offensive. Some of them were like very different than we were kind of anticipating. But again, we responded in real time to what we were hearing, the lines that we were playing, because of the harmonizers, the modulators, all of the crazy effects. I mean, he was trying everything out, because why not? When you're free and clear to experiment, just throw everything into the cauldron.
I've done some stuff like that with my producer, where live we've got a tune where I'm playing and he's manipulating the signal and he's adding effects, which has given me ideas, which is making me change my playing, which has given him ideas to change the effects. And it becomes this whole collaborative thing, even though there's only technically one person playing.
Yeah, and what we're thinking about doing with this idea is traveling around the country, maybe the world at some point, but instead of playing gigs, well, I guess they would be a gig with a small audience, but record all of these performances, but have a pedal board that we are not in control of. Our producer, engineer, Ben Sanders, who I mentioned, would be in full control over what is going to happen. And that type of trust and really just hoping for the best it's going to be fun. There are going to be some dingers that we knock out of the park and some definite duds, but getting over the fear factor of sounding bad is 90% of the battle to success.
Right. Yeah. And so everybody be sure to go check out It's Not a Christmas Album, Bobby Hawk and Rooster Holmes. It's really good. It's really fun. It's really funny. There's some fantastic playing on there. There's some stuff that you're like, these guys were just having a great time. And you can tell that, I mean, obviously you're great players and you care what happens, but they didn't really care what happened. Whatever happened, it just happens. And that's the art.
That's it, man. And my favorite gigs that I've seen over the years live, in particular, are ones where the artists really abandon the form of a song as we know it and expect it, because they're willing to, in front of people, attempt something, try something that most folks haven't heard. And I think that is extremely courageous and a statement. And so why not do this on record and just make it available?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're in Nashville, right, Ross, right now?
Yeah, here in my little home studio spot, all my stuff on the walls.
And Daniela is in Miami.
Yes, I am actually in Miami Beach. If I can show you a little bit of the
Oh
beach, there is
man.
a little cloud.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Yeah, that is so hard. You hit us
it's
really
a
hard with that.
it's a cold day here. We are 70 degrees right now. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm
you've
in
actually,
Miami. Sorry.
yeah, no, there's a little bit of a lag here, so that's why it sounds like we're talking over each other. You've done it. You did a holiday track, a Christmas track, and then you also had a whole other album that you put out this year too, right?
Yes. So, um, the holiday track that I released was actually I always try to do something for the Christmas time, and this year I was like, well, might as well go for something classical, and I thought about Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, picked my favorite, that is the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, and then I was, well, on my mind I was gonna do it on a string quartet. I do have a chin cello or a violin with cello strings, so I started thinking that I was gonna again do a string quartet, and then I was like, maybe I can do the whole orchestra. So I started saying, okay, so the clarinet, the bass clarinet, I'm gonna record it with the chin cello, and then the flute with the violin, blah blah blah. And then when I recorded the whole thing as Tchaikovsky did it, I was like, I need something else for the punchline. Whenever the celesta finished the climax, that goes back to the da 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 da. I was like, there's something missing there. So I decided to put like some beats, and I don't know. That's probably my first, uh, my first piece release that has something like I don't know, that pop or whatever, however you want to call it. But yes, that was a lot of fun, and of course, it gave me a lot of inspiration for a lot of stuff that I guess I can do from now on. But the previous album, the one, well, my latest album that I released on May 2023, it's very, very naked. It's actually just trying to show everything, every muscle that the violin has. Like, how can you extract the essence of a piece and put it into a violin? So that was basically what I discussed with my producer that we wanted to do. We wanted to show how the violin can, of course, have the melody, but can also have some rhythmic stuff, and with no layers, everything made to be played live. So I came up with some crazy ideas that I'm very happy and very proud on how they ended up sounding. I composed two pieces, one for my son. I've been always very scared of doing that type of stuff, but I'm very proud of it. Now I'm probably gonna start doing some more stuff. So yeah, that's basically the projects that I've been doing on 2023.
Yeah, that album is wonderful. The writing is fantastic. There's tons of really extended kind of violin range, extended violin techniques on there.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of chopping in there. You've got a lot of left hand picks. There's a lot of really cool stuff on there. And I think the first was it the first track that had kind of like a shimmer reverb thing that was on it too. That was I was like, oh,
Yes.
listen to this. We got like you're an electric player also, but there's a little bit of that electric flavor in there too. I was digging that a lot.
Yes. None of that made by me, to be honest. That was Alfonso Ordóñez, the wonderful engineer that was in charge of all of that part. He also brought some like ambient sounds. You can hear some water sometimes. You can hear some birds singing, depending on what the piece was asking for.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's just like it felt like we're not in a studio. It feels like we're just kind of outside enjoying this music.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the feeling. I'm glad you liked it, and glad
Yeah.
you asked as well about the music, because yes, I mean, I after making the arrangements and composing, I was like, well, I probably need this in paper, so whenever someone wants to read it, or even I want to remember how to perform it, it's easier to read it than to try to transcribe it in the moment. So yeah, I am still working on how to get it out there, but it's coming. It's coming soon, probably next year.
Awesome. Yeah, I was when I first heard that, I got to thinking about my professor at Illinois, Rudolph Hawken. He's always looking for new compositions for his kids to kind of take for his electric string kids to take and go, hey, what kind of a spin can we put on this? And I immediately was like, oh man, there's some really, really good material here for those kids to kind of go after.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, Matt. It would be a pleasure. As I said, it's my first two compositions out there, so I'm like very excited and nervous. Like I don't know, it was a completely new feeling for me, and it feels somehow like a baby, right? Less painful though.
Yeah. I wouldn't know about all that.
I do, I do.
So did you guys have each had a chance to listen to the other one's music for the first time, right?
Oh
I did
yeah,
listen
and
to your overture.
oh yes, thank you so much. Yeah,
I
no,
loved it.
thank you. When Matt connected us via text, I did a deep dive on Apple Music and on Facebook and Instagram. It's amazing stuff. And I guess what still blows me away is that, our strings community it's not humongous. I mean, there are tons of players, but it's not a massive industry. And once you get past just amateur players who enjoy playing for fun and you get to the professional level, it's an even smaller group of people. And I feel like every passing year I meet another 10, 12, 15, maybe even more players online or in person that I've never heard of. And it just blows me away, the sheer passion and mutual love and desire to express ourselves through these instruments. And so it's a treat anytime I'm introduced to a new player, somebody to listen to it, because there's something you can learn and gain from each of these musicians and their thoughts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly the way I felt when I heard your music. And I was actually wondering a little bit about the process of creating a piece like your overture. Like how was it somehow improvised? Like how did you come up with the idea? And I don't know. I would, if you don't mind, Matt, I would love to hear a little bit about this story.
Absolutely. So overture is basically it's just a shortened solo violin kind of offering of a larger work that a collaborator of mine, Aaron Malone is his name, and I have written this 13 movement work for solo fiddle and orchestra called the American Fiddle Suite. And overture just touches on a lot of the themes, not all of them, but 9 or 10 of the themes from the larger suite itself. And that particular, I guess I should call it like a medley of these themes. I had kind of been stitching together for some time, and it was actually in one of the most beautiful studios here in Nashville, Ocean Way Studios. It's an old church and it sounds amazing. And I was on a break between sessions, and I'd been sort of practicing that piece that morning, and just had the engineer hit record, and I took a pass. And there are definitely spots when I listen back where I'm like, well, I was really hanging on for dear life improvising there. But when you have a concept of, you have this theme, this melody, how do you get between them? Your brain kind of knows how to, in some way, climb those steps, go through that windy, windy road to get there. And sometimes you wind up with brilliant ideas that come out of that sort of noodling. And one thing I really encourage all players to do and just get in the habit of is, on your phone, in voice memo, record yourself like every time you practice, because there are going to be so many discoveries you make about your own playing, maybe sonic things. If you're an electric player and like you found this killer, just for a brief second, this killer combination of pedals, and you want that sound again, well, you can go back and at least have, at the very least, a recording of that. And I think from a growth perspective as a player, with improvisation, with just getting actual written out pieces down better, recording yourself and listening back, being very critical, gently being critical with yourself, is I don't know. I think it's some of the most important growth we can make as players, and it certainly helps us refine the control on our ideas when we're improvising. And like I said, like trying to connect to this part, and not really knowing what to do, but just going for it.
Absolutely. Wow, thanks for that insightful comment about your piece. I was actually wondering how did you come up with so many themes, and now it makes a lot of sense. Now I need to hear the whole suite. That's for sure. That's my homework.
Man, I really hope. I have found it very difficult as a fiddle player, first and foremost, to engage with the classical crowd, trying to just even get the piece premiered. And we have kind of a plan in place that we're working on. But it's just interesting. There are definite walls I've discovered between all these different genres, these different languages of fiddling. And I think for a lot of us who are our age, even younger, like it feels like a shared mission to like tear down those walls over time and just make the instrument accessible to everyone, and our interests in each other's music that much more accessible and real, tangible, you know? And I think it's happening.
Amen. Yes, yes, yes. Amen to that. Absolutely. Very, very important. And I agree with you. It's kind of a mission.
It really is, and we're all doing it in our own like really fun, creative, inspiring ways. I mean, obviously, as Matt and I have talked about for a long time, although I plug in and I have pedals and use them, I'm in my mind I'm an acoustic player, and the world of electric violin is something that I'm not very familiar with. And just through Matt alone, this redheaded, muscled out conduit of violin love, I have discovered so many players that have become friends. And there he is. He popped back up on the screen.
Look, yes, absolutely. It's the best description ever.
Yeah. He just needs his heart shaped.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, absolutely. We should actually make him ones that is like one is a heart and the other one is it's a violin. We need that for Matt.
Oh yeah, he needs to be the Elton John sunglass collector of electric violin.
Absolutely.
Daniela, I would love for you to talk a little bit about the bringing classical violin and marrying that with a lot of, now you're doing other stuff now too, but when you did your Bach to Venezuela project, that to me was what turned me on to your work and what you're doing, and talk about, because you said, well, it's the first time putting like a hip hop beat on something. I'm like, well, you've put a lot of other beats on things before too. So I would
Yeah.
love for you to talk about kind of marrying the Venezuelan world with the Western classical world that you've been doing too.
Well, maybe I say it that way because to me, Venezuelan music is like classical music. It's home. Both of those worlds are part of who I am. So R&B or a beat like the one that I put for the Nutcracker is not at all who I am, but I love it and I listen to it and I would enjoy it a lot, but it's not who I am on a daily basis. So based on that, I can tell you that I truly love mixing things that are not meant to be together, at least on the beginning, like having a French fry dip into a glass of ice cream. Yes, absolutely. It's delicious. It's not meant to be together. Having sushi with sweet plantain on top, you've never tried. Go ahead, give it a try. You're gonna enjoy yourself a lot. So mixing things that are not supposed to be together for me is very exciting. I try to be as respectful as I can to whatever I'm mixing. If I'm doing some joropo with Johann Sebastian Bach's music, I want the joropo to truly sound how a joropo needs to sound, and Bach's music to sound the way it was supposed to be. So I try to be like very um, clean with my procedure because I don't want to be uh, sleeping and then I feel that Bach is pulling my feet because I'm doing something wrong with his music. So I try to be like very Well, I don't know, like very respectful, I would say the word is. And then, for instance, what I recorded on Sola, I have, for instance, some piazzolla that was originally written for solo flute, but well, of course, violins, we can steal music from other instruments, why not? And then make it part of our own repertoire. But as I did record that is somehow classical, piazzolla, very well written, everything. I, for instance, tried to do something as well with my own inspiration, as I mentioned earlier. For the very first time in my life, composing music was a challenge and a very exciting one. And I remember what Ross just said about recording yourself, and that's exactly where my inspiration came by. There's a child screaming, and I don't know if it's mine. Maybe he just got
Yeah, that's
back
here at
from
our
school.
shop. Just never mind.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, is that is that Max? Anyway, but for instance, I tried something very different, and I'm pretty sure many violinists have tried it before. I haven't seen it earlier, but I thought of, for instance, having taken the rhythm into the left hand like this, and keeping it between the E and the G string, and then having the melody between the strings. And doing something like that was very, very exciting to me at the moment I was thinking of it, because again, I was given this challenge of creating something new for the very first time, and I was like, dude, what can I do that is different, that it's, I don't know, exciting? And when I finished the idea, it was like, yes, I was able to play something accompanying myself somehow. Because one of the things that, for instance, for classical violinists is very frustrating, or can be very frustrating, is that although unless you're playing Bach or Paganini or Eugene Isai, you cannot play by yourself. Like if you prepare, I don't know, a Tchaikovsky Sibelius concerto, Mozart concerto, you need an orchestra or a pianist or whatever to accompany you. So I was very excited to be able to create something that allows me to play by myself. And although I love playing in bands, I love playing with other musicians and being part of an ensemble, I truly also like the possibility, at least, to play by myself, because it feels somehow that as a violinist we are not as allowed as a pianist is, or as a guitarist is. Like they are meant to play by themselves, and then they can have other people joining. We actually can do that as well, but it takes a little bit more of being brave and creative, and well, just wanting to make something different.
Yeah, and the album is called Sola, right?
Yes.
So be sure to look
So
up Daniela Padrón Sola. It's really, I think it's important for every violinist, even electric violin like me, to have some unaccompanied solo violin stuff that you can do, that you don't need a looper, you don't need effects. Like, you should be able to just play for X number of minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever. Just you. If you're going to be, if you want to consider yourself competent on your instrument, you should be able to just pick it up and play something that makes musical sense, right?
absolutely, absolutely. It's a
Uh,
it's a wonderful exercise, I would say, as well.
we've got some great comments in here. We got the Merry Christmas. Let's see. Oh, we got a suggestion for Ross on the Solstice album.
That's a great cover. Unfortunately, "Here Comes the Sun" has already been done, and we can't improvise it. I mean, we could improvise an arrangement of it, which would be really fun. The Beatles are always so great to jam on. And for all the people out there hating on the new single, I love it. I think it's beautiful. And I mean, it's the Beatles. What's really, if you're hating on it, yeah, whatever.
You know, our friend
But
Drew is on that.
yeah, I know. Drew Forty played viola. Amazing. He didn't
Yeah,
even know
he
it was a
said
Beatles track at the time.
he knew that it was Paul McCartney track. So he had met
Yeah.
Paul and done the session and all that, and then found out afterwards, like, holy crap, I'm on a Beatles song.
Dude, I mean, that's about as bucket list as it gets.
Yeah. Like, I played with him, I played with her. He's like, I played with the Beatles. Discussion over.
Yeah, like 50 plus years after they were done. I mean, it's like, what an opportunity. Oh my goodness. I'd be crying.
This right here is why we're doing this. Thank you guys for adding Daniela and Ross to your playlist. Please buy the records, put them on your playlists. It's just, everybody's always complaining, there's no good music out there. I'm like, I don't know who you're listening to. There's amazing music being written and recorded right now. Maybe you're not finding it on the radio, unless of course it's Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. But you know, there's some fantastic music being written and recorded today. And if you're not finding it, you're not looking in the right places.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Lance is here. What's up, Lance? Yeah, we brought the big guns. It's Christmas, dude. I can't bring out no clowns.
No, he was talking about your arms.
Let's see. Yep. Tear down walls. We got multiple comments on that. This is funny. Too ADD to join a tribe. And yeah, we are I don't know if everybody knows, we are an employee-owned co-op. There are 4 full-time employees who own a co-op that owns the electric violin shop. 2 of those, Jamie and Susie, are husband and wife. They've got 3 kids. One of them, as you can hear, is about that age that you just heard. And Nora is just bopping around the shop today. And sometimes she doesn't get what she wants. And you know, we all do the same thing. It just kind of comes out different.
I was so worried because I would listen to it, but very close. I was like, is it my kid that just got home from school? I was so confused about it.
That's awesome.
What do you have coming up next, Matt?
Yeah, good question. I've got a big Christmas show that I'm doing with my church. That's we're doing 7 services at DPAC, one of the big theaters here in town. And I just scored the Christmas album that our church put out. And then I've got to finish recording my 3rd album. All the stuff that I learned for school, so like the Denon Zone Concerto and a couple of my tunes, 2 Tracy Silverman pieces, Daniel Bernard Romaine piece, Max Volpert piece. I'm in the process of recording all that to put out a school days album. And then, you know, all the NAMM and ASTA and all those kinds of things that we're always traveling to. My wife, Heidi, bought me for Christmas. We're going to see U2 in the Sphere in Vegas.
What?
Yes.
So like, I don't know if people know about the Sphere, but it's this 23rd century concert venue that the entire inside of the thing is a 14K screen. It's actually higher resolution than your eyes can detect. And there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 speakers in there. Basically the whole, because a Sphere would sound terrible if you just had point sources in there. So there's a speaker under every seat. There's somewhere around 50,000 speakers behind the screen. And it is the next generation of what live entertainment, can be. So going to see that. Yeah, writing, recording, doing tracking for other people, all the same kind of stuff that you guys do. So
we have to make a bet right here. Who do we think, all 3 of us, who are we putting dibs on to be the first solo violinist to play the Sphere?
Oh,
my money is on Lindsey Sterling.
I think so.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Would it be like an Itzhak Perlman and Yo-Yo Ma kind of night?
Wow.
I don't know.
That's, you know, Yo-Yo Ma is one of those guys. He's a lot like Rachel Barton Pine, and that he's absolutely fearless and will tackle any kind of music, any style of music, any composition. Like, here's a thing that I wrote that I'm not really sure is playable. Oh, I'll give it a whirl, you know? And, you know, he's jumping in on playing. He's playing classical. He's playing jazz. He's playing rock stuff. He's all over the place with what he's willing to do. It's just, what a boss.
True boss. A true human.
Yeah. I assume you've
It
hung
would
with
be
it before. You've
super
hung with everybody
cool.
else.
I watched earlier this year Anne-Sophie Mutter playing the Four Seasons. Can you imagine that in the Sphere with all of the visuals that you can put in there? Wow.
I think it's a thing that orchestras need to start doing. You know, everybody's like, well, we're losing our audiences. I'm like, but rock shows are playing stadiums. It's not that people don't want to go see music. It's people don't want to go be bored. Well, the music is really exciting. You go, yeah, but we're in the 21st century. Our bodies are trained to have this multimedia experience. And they're like, well, you know, I don't know if Bach would. No, he wouldn't. He's dead. That stuff hadn't been invented yet. And by the way, he won't care. Daniela, you don't have to be that respectful. He doesn't care. And he wouldn't have cared even if he was around. He would have thought it was awesome. So no, do what you want. Sell the tickets. Put in the light show. Put in the visuals. But bring in some freaking pyro.
Always.
Yes.
Even inadvertent pyro, it's acceptable.
Like I say, every machine is a smoke machine if you run it wrong enough.
Yeah, just crank up those bolts and you can have your own smoke machine.
I just made a smoke machine this morning doing some arepas at home. So
I have to ask, Matt, so I recognize some of the violins behind you, but there are a couple that I don't. There's like one, at least on my screen, that's like it looks like a normal fiddle, but it's kind of looks like a candy cane. Nope, keep going past it's on the bottom row, other direction. Keep going. Two more. That.
oh,
Oh, it's the flag. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't tell from far away.
Yeah, you've had your hands on this one.
I have.
wow.
That's man, it's so amazing.
Ross and
I
I
need
got a
to go
chance to
there.
hang at the Superdome in New Orleans a couple months ago, and you and me and Jimmy Mattingly from Garth's band. And I brought this fiddle for them to play. This thing is spectacular. It's 3D.
Wow. Wow. How would you define the sound?
It sounds great. It's got a starfish on it. Let me see if it's in tune enough to play.
A lot of toys.
So many toys. I wish I had all those.
We should do a play date there.
Close enough for country. Now, you wouldn't know about that low string, Ross, but Daniela does.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a nice sounding fiddle. Let's see, who else? Oh, I do have to show you this one, Ross. I know it's got too many strings on it for you, but
That's my favorite Zeta model. I need to just cave and get one someday. 4-string though.
yeah, I know a guy. We can help you find one.
Ross, so you are all for 4 strings, more than 5, 6, 7.
4 for me. I struggle with 4. It's enough. The biggest thing for me with a 5-string, I love it. My sister is an amazing fiddle player and has played 5 strings forever. It's a feel thing. Like this old French fiddle I've had forever. The neck, I know you can't really see like on camera, but it is so small. My hand is used to a very compact area, and when I play five strings, and so many fiddle players are on that bandwagon. I mean, like five strings is popular now more than any other time. Um, they sound great. They're just it's a sensory thing. It's like the big neck. I'm a wuss.
I'm absolutely with you, and I've tried, and I know I mean, I'm using two violins, as I was telling you, and I could definitely use one, but it helps so much for me to feel home. And these four strings, it just feels like home to me.
Yeah, it's
I'm
it.
with you,
If
Rob.
there's a comfort and a security in that. But if you're like Matt Bell, you live life out on the edge. You're pushing the envelope all the time. And so at some point, he's going to rock up with like a 63 string, like figure eight shaped violin that has this bow woven throughout. And it's going to be incredible. And he'll be on tour with like Hans Zimmer.
It's just because I don't like to shift. I'm too lazy to shift.
Ross, here's the thing. You were wondering who was going to be the first fiddle player in the sphere. Is Matt with that violin.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We got, somebody says Ray Chen or Rachel. Yeah. Lindsay, two said I could pass on that. Rage was Sage. Oh, I love Rage. Rage was Sage. Cornelius. Cool guy out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Or Chuck.
Dude. Chuck.
Oh, look who's here.
Rob.
What's up,
Hi,
Rob Flax? I think Rob and I are going to get a chance to hang in California in a couple weeks. I hope at the NAMM show.
That's always such a killer hang. Oh man, I'm so jealous. You guys are going to have a big throwdown.
Yeah, Daniela, are you coming to NAMM this year?
I still don't know because I'm going for sure to Grammys, and Grammys is a week after. So Either I fly 2 times over the country in 1 week, or I stay like 10 days out with my 4-year-old being here. I don't know which one I can make happen. So I'm still thinking on it.
I don't know, all that crying might have talked me right into staying out there for 10 days. Or 20. How long can we stay?
The frequent flyer points are always a plus.
Yes. And I guess that account for Matt, that needs to be an interesting one. I want to see your frequent flyer numbers.
I've got a few. I've got probably not as many as Ross, but I've got a few.
It used to be really easy to rack up points, but they've changed systems now. Sorry, I'm not trying to get off on like travel rewards on an electric violin show, but hey, it is they're part of what we do. Those of us that travel to perform, to use electricity from buildings that are not in our general vicinity so that we can power our amps and pedals, we have to get there. And it's nice to know that when you're getting to that place where you have to use those pedals and those fiddles and that electricity, that you can do so in maybe a little bit more comfy of a seat on a 6-hour flight. It all matters.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah.
And that's why bands spend the money they spend on buses. We could technically do this in a Sprinter van or a station wagon or whatever, and it's been done for sure. But if you really want that band to be well rested and to be in the right headspace to put on the concert that you paid a lot of money to see, well, then maybe they need to travel in a little bit more comfortable fashion than everybody piling into somebody's minivan.
I'm with you, but I'll tell you what, I do like a good band road trip in like a Ford Econoline van with some tunes on and some real janky like roadside Jack in the Box, that's all around. Those are good memories. They're deep memories. Not the best memories, but they're in there.
You got to find a barbecue place that you're a little afraid to get out of the car. Because that's going to be the best barbecue.
It's going to be so good. Oh, man. All this talk about cooking, like I want sushi with plantains and sketchy barbecue now. Dang.
Have you ever tried that? Give it a try.
Oh,
Sushi
I
with
will.
plantain.
It's very Latino from me to say it, but come on, give it a try. Give it a try. You're not
I'm
coming
game.
back from that dark world.
So we had a question here. Carry on or extra seat. So we're all violinists. We can carry the thing on. The poor cellists, they got to buy an extra seat.
It is really helpful though to know what plane you're on. And there are times, although Nashville is a growing city and our airport's an international airport, I still have to connect like a lot of cities. You know, if I'm on American or Delta, I got to go to Dallas or Atlanta, and it's usually a little regional plane. And some of the overhead bins are particularly tiny. So if you have just a standard like oblong Bobolot case, it may not fit. So I look at my flight options and see what type of aircraft it's going to be and kind of make my decision from there, because I know if it's a bigger plane, there will be room for it up top and it won't be any kind of issue.
So you've got a lot of connections to aviation, Ross. But you've actually had to have your violin fly in the cockpit a couple of times, right?
Yeah, because again, you know, you get some young new flight attendant that doesn't really know the unspoken policy or isn't aware of the Music Modernization Act that was passed that says if an instrument fits an overhead bin, it goes up there. And I've been stopped, you know, as I've been getting on the plane, sir, you're going to have to check your violin. I'm like, no, I'm not. Here's the paperwork I keep in my case to show you that this is fully legal. I'm one of the first people on the plane. There's totally space. But if it's a problem, then let me talk with the captain of the plane. He's the one in charge. It's his aircraft or her aircraft. And a couple of times they've just taken my fiddle and said, "Hey, we'll just put it here in the cockpit." I'm like, "Yeah." I don't know if that broke any laws or if I'm saying something. I'm not saying what airline or the pilot's names, whether or not we're close friends or not. But it is it's definitely happened, and it's put my mind at ease. And you know, some planes still have like coat closets. You can always ask to put your instrument in the coat closet, but never check it. I mean, I wouldn't check a cheap Chinese $50 Amazon fiddle on a plane. Never. It will be destroyed.
Yeah, 100% chance.
Yeah.
I did
I
see an
agree.
emergency that somebody one time, they were like, no, we are literally going to take your case out of your hand. And they took their violin out of their case and they hugged the violin and let the flight attendant take the case. And they put the case underneath the plane and they sat there with the violin on their lap for 3 hours. And it just do be like that sometimes.
Wow,
Man,
I never thought about that one, but yes, absolutely yes to that. Amen.
yeah.
Because thank God I've never been to that situation where they say, well, there's no way. Of course, I've used the closet a lot. I went to Venezuela for the first time in 7 years this year, and I was so scared about it. And it didn't happen. I mean, they helped me with a closet, and it was perfect. But I love that you tell me that story because that's something that I see myself doing, like playing with my violin and then maybe annoying playing some pizzicato for them.
Yeah,
Some
that's
scales.
always in the back of my mind is my very last resort.
Yeah.
Well, and BAM makes a case. I think it's BAM that has the actual case for the violin and then a separate detachable bow tube. So when you're flying, that the violin will always fit, especially in like the little, you know, check to see if your bag fits displays right there by the gate. The violin itself will always fit. It's the bow that's the problem. But if you just kind of tuck it in your backpack or, you know, try to like Robin Hood your way onto the plane, it shouldn't. It's just it's a problem, but it's not a huge problem, particularly for violin.
Gava has a case like that now too.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these companies do. Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't, you know, obviously my Flying V doesn't fit in those, but and I would never travel with anything else because I'm not as good as y'all. I need the whiz bang stuff so people will listen to me.
Did you just get a new one? Did I see this on a story that you posted?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the new baby right here.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
Today's
love the
the first
colors.
day. I've
Wow, it
owned this
looks
for a total of
stunning.
about 2 hours now.
Is that blue or purple?
It's blue.
Blue.
So it's a sparkle
Wow.
blue on the sides and then the quilted maple on the top.
So cool.
That's beautiful.
And it has the correct
It
number
is.
of strings.
Yeah, if you're a guitar player.
Exactly. Oh my God. Wow.
So yeah. Let's say, okay, yeah,
How
wait,
many?
somebody told us we got right here. Whew, there you go. The
There you go.
BAM
Yeah, that's right.
Peak
Yeah.
Compact, and they gave us space case. Thank you, Sasha.
Space is the place.
I know Rob likes the side of that thing because it's blue. That's
I
awesome.
love that picture, his profile picture. It's so joyful.
It is so Rob too.
It's so Rob.
Absolutely.
Like him and Martha Mook shop in the same places, I think. We've got to do it, Rob. We've got to do a thing where we take a picture of an outfit and we make people guess if it's you or Martha. That's got to be the contest, man. It's got to be a contest. They both have great fashion. But like, I don't know if you can necessarily guess.
The memes that you see of like, is it a puppy or a piece of fried chicken? It's a little golden retriever puppy. Is it Martha? Is it Rob?
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to New Year's. I'm going to run sound for an electric string quartet in Vermont. And it's for kids from Martha's program at NJCU. They've got an electric string quartet, and they needed a sound human, and they called me instead. So we're going to do that.
I would
How many
definitely
gigs?
call you too.
It's one gig. It's a fly in and fly
Just
out.
the one.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yep.
What's the name of the group?
I don't know.
All right. We'll
sure
have
they're
it
good.
for next year.
Yeah, I know several of the players in the group, and the players are freaking monsters. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's probably going to be the easiest sound gig in history. Like that, I tell people that's my trick on getting a good mix is to just work with good players. You work with good players, you you just turn them all up and go, well, it sounds good. Leave them alone. Get out of their way.
Man, it's really that's such a great point because building your collection of pedals and experimenting with all these different types of sounds is so much fun, but it's never going to make you sound better until you have the core principles and control of playing down. And a lot of like beginner players will send me messages kind of asking the thing like, is there a pedal? Literally, I've been asked like, is there a pedal I can use that will help my pitch? And I'm like, your ear.
Yes.
Practice. Listen. Yeah. I mean, I get why the question was asked because there are auto tuners, but everything begins right here. And that's, I don't know, I think that's most important of all of it.
I was very new to this business and I had just started playing electric and I went to go see my buddy John Calderon play guitar and he played for Al Jarreau. And so obviously he's got a little bit of something to him, you know. And I asked him, I said, hey man, your tone is amazing. You've got to tell me about the pedals and the amp that you're using. And he's like, okay, Grasshopper, I'm happy to tell you about my amp and my pedals. I love talking gear. But tone comes from two places. It comes from here and it comes from here. So if you got the heart, the soul, and you got the hands, you're like 90% of the way there. And then we can talk about amps and pedals. That's the rest of it. But we get that question a lot. Yeah, like, oh, my violin sounds like dog do. What pedal can I buy to make it sound better? And I'm like, it starts at the source. and the source is here, and then the instrument. And then if we can get that right, where it sounds good all by itself, then we can talk about what happens after that.
There's this pedal called Carl Flesh. There's another Don't. There's
Sevchik, yeah.
Yep. You know them too.
Yeah.
The O'Connor method.
Yeah. Kreutzer. There's all kinds of pedals. Practice.
Yes. There are no shortcuts to that, and that's one of the difficult things that we have now with this new generation. That's me sounding very old, but yes, that's how I feel. That since we have everything instant gratification, and we want, again, my example with the sushi, we want sushi. You go online, you get sushi in half an hour. It's right there served for you. Same with whatever content we want to get, whatever movie we want to watch. So it gets very difficult to be patient enough to get your violin skills promoted, like when you really feel that you're improving and you really feel that it's working. And I see it with some of my students, and it's very a work that it used to be on our generation, I believe, part of what we have to do with our parents. But nowadays, like, you truly need to have that parent there saying, you're doing right. Yes, this is going to work. Let's make this happen, because it's not going to happen by itself. Like right now, it's super difficult because patience is not anymore part of the equation, and you need to have patience for this to work. And yeah, there are no shortcuts. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's like that with your sound too, not just your playing, but your sound. Everybody's like, "Well, what EQ settings do you use?" And I'm like, "Well, honestly, I can't tell you because I don't know what room you're in and what PA you're on and what context you're in. Are you playing by yourself, or are you playing with three other violinists? Or are you playing with the guitar player or the bass player with an organ?" Like that, the answer depends, and there's not a shortcut to just, I'm going to give you some numbers to plug into your EQ thing. Like, you have to learn how to listen, and you have to learn how to make adjustments. And there's not a shortcut to that. It's going to take the time to train your ears to hear those things and chase them down. I mean, I can teach you what all the knobs do, but as far as where to put them, that's on you.
Amen.
See, Rob was telling us, oh, the new Sevchik pedal's got MIDI. And then there's, the Awesomizer. Yeah, exactly. You plug it in, you start hitting buttons, and there's just like Ross's voice in there going, "Go practice." This is a great question. I just graduated from one. University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. You can tell I went there because I can say it. That is the one place where you can get a degree in electric strings. But New Jersey City University is where Martha Mook teaches, and they have a multi-styles program where you can actually learn that the program is teaching you to be a really broad player, to learn a bunch of different styles. So classical and jazz and rock and Latin and Carnatic music, because that's the thing. We always forget that it's not just 12-tone Western European music. There are other scales and other things that are very different from what we do. Berkeley is super open-minded about electric strings. Mia Asano just graduated from there. Her primary instrument is electric violin. The Frost School at Miami is really open-minded. Belmont in Nashville, where Tracy lives, and our good friend Tracy Silverman. Ross knows Tracy. Tracy teaches there. Trying to think who else is super open. North Texas, I think, is pretty open. Scott Tixier's down there, right?
Yeah.
At North Texas. And I'm trying to, Patty Kilroy is in California, one of the UCal, Dr. Kilroy, I don't know if you know her. She is at one of the UCal schools. There are a lot of open-minded schools. It's starting to get better. So those
Come
of us,
to
that's
Miami.
Yeah, Frost. And oh, I'm blanking on. I can see her. Who's teaching down there? Um, oh, I feel so bad. The name is going to come to me. Yeah, Denizone teaches it at NJCU. I'm trying to remember who's teaching at Frost School. I just saw one of her Facebook posts like 10 minutes before I got on the air. But there are a lot of schools, and we're beating on the world to try to create more. In fact, Martha and I are presenting at the NAMM show to talk about progressive string education. Because if you look at the way a lot of music schools are teaching music, my undergrad's in engineering. If we were teaching music, if we were teaching engineering the same way that music schools are teaching music, we'd be teaching kids with a slide rule. So music conservatories, some of them are doing a good job, but a lot of them are preparing kids to go live in the 1960s. And as you graduate your conservatory and you are prepared for the job market in 1960. The one problem with that is that it's not 1960. And oh yeah, Nicole Yarling is the head of the department at Miami, and she's amazing. I just can't remember her name. So yeah, there are a lot of people investing a lot of energy in trying to wake up the establishment to the things that Ross and Daniela already know. And one of the cool things in engineering and in the STEM fields, so much of the innovation is happening in academia, right? They are the ones that are breaking new ground in that field. And I feel like in some of the arts fields, the academic community is struggling to keep up with what the artists on the front lines are doing. So I would love to see the music education world be the place where new ideas are coming. But frankly, that's not what it is right now.
Yes.
So maybe soon. I don't know. We got to keep kids interested in doing this. That's where a lot of these. I mean, did you guys play in school orchestras?
Sort of. My education was like going to school and then going to my music school, so it was not mixed, to be honest.
Ross and I both started as kids, and I think keeping the kids interested in this stuff is where it's at. And there's no future for strings if we don't have kids interested in it. And like when you hire a guitar teacher, the first thing he's going to ask is, what kind of music do you like? What do you want to learn? They're like, oh, I want to learn some Doja Cat. Awesome. Let's learn some Doja Cat. And day one, they're learning how to play music that they give a crap about. Now the violin is a different beast, right? So it's a very different beast, but I feel like there are ways that a creative teacher, a kid could come in and go, I love Taylor Swift. Awesome. Let's learn some Taylor Swift. And we can adapt some of our curriculum to like, we can learn some of the music that you care about very, very early. And it seems like our pedagogy is not interested in going in that direction. And we wonder why kids quit to go play the piano or the guitar or the push or whatever. The switch. My dad played the switch pretty good. So yeah, this took a turn, but you guys are brilliant musical minds, and I just love talking about this stuff. So
yeah,
Daniela's project is called Sola. Please go find Sola. Oh, she's wearing the merch. Look at that.
You see.
Go find that project, download it, learn it, love it. The sheet music is coming soon. Ross has a bunch of projects out. The one we talked about most today was It's Not a Christmas album.
Sheet music will not be coming for that.
Got a bunch of scribbles.
Just some Shiite music. I'm a child. I'm sorry. I'm never going to grow up.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I cannot wait to see each of you in person again. Ross saw you a couple months ago. Daniela, hoping to see you in January. Across my
I hope
fingers.
so too, my friend. Yes, me too.
Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. It's an honor to chat with you guys, and an honor to have you and to talk about your art and your music. If you guys are tuning in late, you can go back and watch this thing from the top. Some really, really great stuff with them talking about their projects and the things that they're doing. Yeah, go back and watch it.
Thank you for having
I
us.
love
This has
you,
been a real
Matt.
such a treat to meet you, Daniela.
Same here, Ross. I'm already looking forward to hearing the whole suite and all of your music. Thank you very much for making such a cool standard for violin.
Well, thank you so much. That's very kind. And thanks for having us, Matt. Yeah, this is so great.
Yes, you're
Awesome.
the best.
Everybody, you guys have a great holiday. I will be back here next week with who am I talking to next week? I have
Santa?
I have a guest next week, and it is I'm gonna look on my phone. I'm gonna do the rude
Santa's
thing and
gonna
pick up
be
my phone while I'm
already on
talking to you.
vacation.
Oh, you know who I'm talking to next week? I'm talking to Casey Dreesen next week.
Oh man, what does he do?
He's some sort of fiddle thing. I don't know.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be, man. I was thinking about him earlier. I was wondering if you had an NS hanging on the wall somewhere, because Casey's been using the NS design violins for years and years. One of the early players. That's it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
This
I
one's
see
got
that,
them
and I think
crazy
Casey
lines
Dreesen.
on there.
Yeah, speed bumps.
Speed bumps, yeah. But I'll be talking to Casey Dreesen next week about he's got a new fiddle camp that's starting up. So we'll be talking about that.
Cool.
And,
Yeah, awesome.
all the things. So Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy holidays, everybody. Whatever you celebrate, have a good one. And yeah, pour one out for me. So we will I will see everybody next week and hopefully see each of you in person sometime soon.
Hopefully,
soon.
my friend. Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.